Hello everybody and welcome back to a new book video. Today we have my May reading wrap up. May was a pretty good month. I read in total 10 books, but 7 of those were audiobooks. So technically I only read 3 books and 2 were on my Kindle. I have honestly became such an audiobook girly, but not through choice, more through I've kind of been in a book slump and audiobooks seem like a good way for me to still get books in without having to sit down and actually read. So that's where we're at. So I do apologise that the vast majority of books in this video are going to be audiobooks, and also they are pretty much all from one author from one series. So I'm sorry in advance. It's not the most interesting wrap up, but it is what it is. Let's just get into it anyway. First book, and the only physical book that I finished, is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I absolutely loved this book. So this was Emily Henry's new release. Everybody goes wild for Emily Henry, me included. I love her books so much. I love her writing style, like everything about her. I love it, and it gives me such summer vibes. Like, something about her writing makes me feel so nostalgic, and I don't quite know why. Like, it gives me, I just love them. So Funny Story basically follows Miles and Daphne. Daphne is engaged to somebody. She is literally planning her wedding, and one day he ups and leaves leaves her for his childhood best friend. Daphne is obviously gagged, shook, so she doesn't know really what to do with herself. She is looking for somewhere to live because she lived in his house. She ends up living with the childhood best friend's ex-boyfriend because they were both in relationships. They've both left their relationships to be with each other. So she moves in with the best friend's ex, who is Miles. So they kind of start living together. They're kind of like just roommates to begin with, like they pass each other occasionally, but then Daphne somehow slips up or basically says that her and Miles are dating. So then they start fake dating to get back at both of their exes who are together. So you've got the roommates dynamic, the fake dating dynamic, all set in a little small beach town. And basically the whole kind of thing about the book is that Miles is going to show Daphne that where she lives can still be hers. She can make her new memories there. She can find her new favourite places and not have it all revolving around her ex, because she relocated to live with him next to his friends. All of his friends were her friends. Like, she went to his favourite restaurants, everything like that. So Miles is basically trying to show her that she doesn't need to move. She can make a new life for herself in this little town. And they were just everything to me. Emily Henry sells me on a couple like no other author. Like, every single couple that I read from her, I will buy instantly. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I have seen a few people say that they thought that this was based more so on physical attraction, which I find wild because I think that they really became friends before they even had that kind of like physical attraction. Like, they were friends first, and I love a friends to lovers so much. But anyways, going back to this, I feel like Emily Henry really just knows how to sell you on a couple. And the thing for me with Emily Henry is no matter what book she's writing, no matter what character she's trying to portray, I always see a little bit of myself in them. And sometimes it's a little bit too close to home, but I think it really does make me personally root for the characters. I just love her writing and how she sells a story, sells a couple, how she tells their love story. And I was a big fan of this one. I did actually rate this a 5 stars. I also loved how Miles is not like your typical book boyfriend in terms of like, he's not rich, he's not got this, I don't want to say not a good job because he really enjoys his job, but I mean like he doesn't have a career, so to speak. That's what they say in the book. Like, I just liked how he is not the typical male main character that we see in books. It was very refreshing and I truly loved them. I will say that this has not took the stand as my #1 Emily Henry book. I think for me, Beach Read is still at the top, then probably Happy Place, then Funny Story, then book lovers, then people we meet on vacation, I think. I just know beach readers at the top, people we meet on vacations at the bottom. The others are a little bit muddled in there because I have actually rated every Emily Henry book apart from people we meet on vacation a 5-star, I think. But beach readers, there's no beating Gus for me. But anyways, love this so much. I will read Emily Henry's shopping list, like I love her. Then I am cheating a little bit with this one because I haven't technically finished this book, but I think I will finish it today. So I'm including it because girlie needs to bump up her physical reads. So this is Rootbound by Tara Dewitt. I don't know. I've never read any of the books by her. I know that she has a few others that I recognise, but I've not read any of them yet. I saw this in the works and it was literally £3, so I thought I will pick that up, and then I realised it was a cowboy romance, so I was like, get that on my TBR right now. So basically where I'm up to currently, I am about 100 or so pages in, 120 pages. So I am about halfway through. The girl, Tate, is a photographer. She kind of has like a broken family. She hasn't seen her dad in like pretty much her whole life. She knows who he is, where he lives, everything like that, and vice versa. They just have no contact. But she is basically a photographer and she gets an assignment to go and work on her family's ranch, but she accepts it without actually knowing what the job is, and then she realizes it's the ranch. So I'm at the bit where she has got to the ranch. She meets this like grumpy cowboy who essentially has been taken in by her family when he was like, I don't know, 15, 16. So he is very defensive over them. Basically they are filming a TV show on the ranch, and I think since they filmed the TV show they've had quite a few people wanting to like claim the fame, essentially trying to get close to the family for the wrong reason. So he's very defensive of them. I really did not like this book to begin with. Like I feel like the first, I would honestly say like 80 or so pages, I was literally like, I'm gonna DNF it. Like I could just not get into it at all. I don't know if it was the writing style, like even the way that the pages are laid out, like I just don't like it. But since I've got past that bit, I am starting to enjoy it more. But I feel like I thought that the guy was going to be more grumpy. Like he has softened already, which is fine, but from what I was saying like on the back, and from the way that he was so standoffish to begin with and like accusing her of essentially looking for money and whatever else, I thought that he was going to be a little bit more grumpy, or at least drag it out a bit longer. They have not done anything, like they have not kissed, there's been no romance between them from the bit where I'm up to currently. And I think my rating at the minute is about, I would say we're standing at like a 3 stars, maybe a little bit less, because I don't particularly love either of the characters. Like I don't dislike them, I just don't feel anything for them, and I don't know, we will see on this one. So I don't really know why I included this in here other than to make myself feel better, but there we go. I will finish this today. Then going on to my Kindle reads, I read 2 books on my Kindle this month. First one is Alive and Wells by Bailey Hannah. So this is number 1 in the Wells Ranch series. I actually want to start the second one. So again, another cowboy romance. I love a cowboy romance. So this one follows Austin and Cecily. So she essentially is escaping an abusive relationship. I would obviously check the trigger warnings before you go into it, knowing that it involves like a domestic abuse situation, but she basically leaves, like she flees that situation and ends up on the Wells Ranch. But when she gets there, she is met by a grumpy old cowboy who is Austin. He essentially doesn't like city girls, think that she's not going to stick it out. He's had his heart broken in similar situations before, so he has the walls up. He is very grumpy, doesn't want her to be there, doesn't give her the time of day. But she really does prove herself, and obviously they start a little romance up. But I just really enjoyed this one. There's something about a cowboy romance, a grumpy cowboy at that, the kind of ranch setting, seeing the other ranch hands, like that found family trope. I just love it. And since the Chestnut Springs series ended, I've been like yearning to find that feeling again. And I just loved it. The dedication in this book literally says, for the city girls in their cowboy romance era. Me. I mean, I'm not a city girl. The rest of it is, and for the country girls who know fictional cowboy is always better than the real thing. I suppose the only thing that I live in like, not the countryside, but I live in a seaside town, but like the countryside is like right where we're at. And the only thing we really have is farmers. And I feel like they don't quite hit the same as a cowboy. Like English, equestrian, horse rider boys are so different to American or Canadian, literally anything cowboys. Like they could not be more further apart. Anyway, thoroughly enjoyed this book and I think I rated it about a 4.25. Like I said, there is actually a second one out in this series, so I think I will be starting that soon. Okay, and then the second book that I read on my Kindle was actually an ARC review, but I think the book is already out, but I got sent it. But it is Ruthless Savage by Lillian Harris. It says that it is book 1 in the Savage Kings series. So this is a mafia romance. I have not read a mafia romance in so long. I honestly think the last mafia romance that I read were Harry Styles' Wattpad fanfics. Just gonna leave that one there. But yeah, so I got sent this and I was like, do you know what? I kind of feel like switching it up a little bit from like my cutesy summer reads or my cowboy romance reads, and we will read a mafia romance. So it's mafia, age gap, bodyguard. He essentially works for the mafia family as the bodyguard of the daughter. And we follow in here. So there is an age gap, which I normally don't like, but I feel like the way that it was done in this wasn't too bad. Like, yes, he kind of knew her from a child, but it seems like almost a natural progression of their relationship, which is strange coming from me that doesn't enjoy an age gap, but I feel like it did work. I just don't like when they call attention to it. Like, in my mind, I like to forget about the age gap a little bit, so when you're constantly bringing it up, don't like it. But I feel like they didn't do that much in this book. But like, there's something about the mafia bodyguard kind of vibe that I quite enjoyed in this one. And again, I think I gave this like a 4. It was a solid read. There were little bits in it that I really didn't like, but I couldn't tell you what they are now. Like, I can't remember what they are. There were certain things that happened that I was like, not a fan of that. But again, like I said, couldn't tell you what they are, so they can't have put me off that much. And maybe I am now going to be on more of like a mafia romance, dark romance kick. I actually don't know what other books are in the series, but maybe I'll look into it, maybe I'll give them a go. So moving on to audiobooks, I'm going to start off with the one that I read that is not in the series. So I actually re-listened to Binding 13. I know, don't roll your eyes, don't sigh, you're tired of hearing about the series, I already know, but I just miss them so much. I know that sounds so weird, but I literally like could not stop thinking about them. I go back and look through my annotations from that series so much. Every time I'm literally tearing up thinking about them. Every time that I see somebody new starting that series or I see somebody share an edit of them, it does something to my heart and my soul and my body. Like it's too much. And I needed them back in my life. And I thought that listening to the audiobooks would be a great compromise without me having to read all of the books again, which I'm going to do soon anyway, but like I thought that's a nice medium. So I have listened to Binding 13. I'm kind of just listening to that one when I want a little bit of a break from other audiobooks because my Spotify hours run out all the fucking time and it drives me insane. But I am done with Binding 13. I'm about halfway through Keeping 13. If you don't know, somehow, surprisingly, if you've never watched a video of mine before, Binding 13 is the first book in the Boys of Tommen series, and it basically follows Johnny and Shannon. Johnny is some hotshot rugby player. He goes to Tommen College, which is like the private school. Shannon originally went to the community school, but she was really badly bullied, so she transfers over to Tommen College. They meet. She has a horrible home life. If you are going to read these books, like any of them in the series, please check the trigger warnings, please check the content warnings, because somehow they are marketed as being YA, I think purely because they're not very spicy, but like the rest of the themes in them are not YA at all, and I don't think they should be marketed as such. Like, I think it is actually really bad, like on a completely different note. But they do deal with very heavy topics in quite graphic detail. So I would definitely read the content warnings, trigger warnings, everything like that before going into any of the books. But I just love them so much. They are big books, which I think is one of the reasons why an audiobook is a good way of getting them in. Also, they have Irish accents, and the Irish accents in the audiobook, insane. They are chunky books though, but I could literally read 3 times the length. Like, there's something in the way that Chloe Walsh writes that they do not feel like 800-page books. Like, I literally could have read double that and not complained. But I will be finishing Keeping 13 when my Spotify hours renew, and I can't wait to like continue with my little reread, re-listen of that series. Okay, and then the other audiobooks that I listen to are all part of the same series. So they are part of the Robert Hunter detective series by Chris Carter. Shout out to my girl Siri for recommending this series to me. She and Chris Carter are literally like best friends. Like, she recommended these books, this series, and she loves him. And he loves her apparently, so we love that for them. But anyways, I started the series because Siri had recommended The Caller, which is one of the books in this series. But I think it's maybe like book 7 or something like that. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to commit to doing the full series because I feel like I get a better concept overall. I will say now that I've listened to so many of the series that I actually don't think you need to do that. I could have fully just gone into The Caller and left it there. But I feel like it gives you a better overview of like their background, the cases they've worked on before, everything like that. So basically they follow this one detective, Robert Hunter, and his partner, who is called Garcia, I want to say. Follows them on different cases. They work in Los Angeles, they are homicide detectives, and pretty much in every book that we get, it follows like a different serial killer and obviously their hunt to try and find him. But like the way that it's done, the way that it's told, I feel like they are very suspenseful. Like, they're just done in such a good way. So I'm not going to go too in depth into each book. I'm sorry if that's a little bit annoying, but we have 6 of them. First one up is The Crucifix Killer, and I did enjoy this one, but it wasn't my favourite. It obviously kept me gripped enough to continue on with the series, but I think now in comparison to the others, it's like lower down on my list. The second one was The Executioner, which I think I liked more. Honestly, now they're kind of like not blown into one in a bad way, but because I've listened to them like back to back to back, I feel like I'm just taking in the series as a whole. But The Executioner, I think I enjoyed a little bit more, but still not a favourite. Then we had The Night Stalker, which was creepy. Like, anything that kind of is more revolving around women, obviously, terrifies me. And that one was pretty creepy. Then we had The Death Sculptor, which again I enjoyed, but I preferred The Night Stalker. Then I don't know what it is recently, but like the gore in them has been making me feel a little bit ill, especially in the next one, which is One by One. That one for me, for some reason, just felt so much more gory. This was the first one where we had like, it seemed, I don't know how to explain it, but this one basically was like, you know, like the online dark web type thingies. It followed them where you kind of have to choose if they live or die type situation. And that one really freaked me out. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like that happens. I don't know. Like, that's not my portion of the internet. But I feel like you hear more in TV shows and books, that is literally all that I'm basing it off, about that kind of like corner of the internet, and that terrifies me. And this one was very gory, and it really freaked me out. But that one is probably my favourite of the series up to now. And then I went on to The Caller, but I actually have not finished this one. Probably like 3 or so I was in, I think. But I'm sure Siri rated it about a 4.5, and I know that Sophie also listened to it after Siri's recommendation too, and I think she gave it a 5-star. So it is very highly rated. I am excited. Siri said that it is creepy, so I absolutely can't wait for that. It's already given me the creeps from the 3 hours that I've listened to. But overall, I would say we're standing at like a 4-star series because I have enjoyed listening to them all. but obviously you're going to have some favourites. Some are more intense than others, some feel more realistic than others, so I don't know. I'm enjoying the series as a whole though, and I'm excited to finish The Caller. If you actually want to listen to that series, they do have all of the books on BookBeat, so I'll leave my link down below where you can get the free trial and you'll be able to listen to them as well. So, but anyways, that is all of the books that I read and listened to in May. I am actually going on a trip for 2 weeks. I'm going on a little vacation, so I'm hoping that I will get a lot of reading done in June. I'm taking some summery rom-com reads with me, obviously taking my Kindle, so I'm hoping that we will have a little bit of a better reading month in terms of physical books, and I will have some good rom-coms to share with you in my next reading wrap up. But thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure you are following my book Insta. I'm a lot more active on there, more current updates, reviews, all of that good stuff. But thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.